Hello, World Wide Web and YouTube and everyone else in between. Today we're going to learn about dividing polynomials. To be exact, it will be a trinomial will be divided by a binomial. So we see the first one, the 40x squared plus x minus 6 is a 3-term, and then the 5x plus 2 is a 2-term, so that's a binomial. So right now, you figure what goes into the 40x squared multiplied by the 5x, and that would be an 8x. 8x times 5x is 40x squared. So you just place that number on top, and now you take the 8x, multiply it by the 2 right there to complete that section of the division and multiplication. So that is 16x, 8x times 2. 16x, and you put it on the same line of the 40x squared. You change the addition to subtraction in order to get the next line. 40x squared minus 40x squared is 0. Positive x minus 16x is a negative 15x. And then bring down the minus 6 from top. And then you do it again. As in, figure out what negative 15x is divided into the 5x. And that would be a negative 3. Negative 3 multiplied by 5x is negative 15x. Negative 3 multiplied by that 2 is negative 6. And let's go ahead and write that down. And then go ahead and change the signs and go ahead and run the numbers through. Minus 15x with a positive 15x is a 0. Negative 6 with a positive 6 is a 0. Now let's check our answer. We're going to multiply the 5x plus 2 multiplied by the 8x minus 3. And we're going to use the FOIL method. So the F stands for first. So we're going to take the 5x multiplied by the 8x. And that is the F in the FOIL, first. Get a 40x squared. Second one is an O, and that stands for outside. So take the 5x and multiply it by the minus 3, or negative 3. Now we have the I, which stands for inside. That is the positive 2 multiplied by the positive 8x, and you get a plus 16x. And that is inside. Now we use the L in FOIL, and that stands for last. Positive 2 multiplied by the negative 3. And we get a negative 6. Now we combine like terms. The 40x squared, there is not a like term. There is a like term with the negative 15x and the positive 16x. So we're going to combine them. And we're going to get a positive 1x, or simply x. And there you have the original answer, or where we started from. So we see that the 8x minus 3 is the answer when we long divide the 40x squared plus x, negative 6, into 5x plus 2. Now let's try another way. Remember that we put a 1 underneath the fractions, and then when we go ahead and divide, we use a reciprocal. So it becomes a 1 over 5x plus 2. But first we need to take apart the 40x squared plus x minus 6. We need to tear it down by grouping into its individual parts. 40 times negative 6 equals negative 240. Now what two numbers when multiplied equal negative 240 but add up to 1? So we go through a few numbers and we come up with 16 and negative 15. So those two numbers, when multiplied, equal negative 240, but when added, equal 1. So we're going to go ahead and write those numbers down. And I'm going to do a separate video on factoring and factoring by grouping. But this is at least is going to be a quick overview. As you can see, I'm writing it down, the 16x and the negative 15x, and then of course the minus 6 at the end, and then now we're going to group those. So we're going to take the first two terms and then the last two terms, and we're going to group them. So how can we take down the 40 and also the 16x, 40x squared? What is the highest number that goes into both of those numbers? Well, how about an 8? And notice the x squared and the x, let's take out an x. So we're going to go ahead and write 8x. Now 8x divided by 40x squared is a 5x. Then an 8x divided by the 16x is a 2. So we're going to go ahead and write down 5x and then plus 2. So we have that factored out. We factored out the 8. Now let's factor the negative 15x and the negative 6. So what's the highest number that you could think of that goes into the 15 and also the negative 6? So we're going to take out a negative 3. So negative 3 divided by negative 15x is a 5x. Negative 3 divided by negative 6 is a positive 2. So you see you have the two ones that are the same, 5x plus 2 and a 5x plus 2. That means you did something correct. You just write it once, and then you take the 8x and the negative 3 and put that together. And you have them separated now. And now notice you have a 5x plus 2 on top, and you have a 5x plus 2 on the bottom. Those numbers, those terms, will cancel out. So we're going to cross them out. And now look what you have. Now look what you have. Okay, sorry. You have an 8x minus 3. Multiply that by 1. And you have a 1 times 1. And you get a 8x minus 3 for your answer. And that is the same answer that we got before, the 8x minus 3. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe. There is so much more to come. Much more art, math, everyday life, and of course cats. Have a good day, everyone.